everybody to another edition of the Rockpile Report podcast. Woo! Are you not entertained? What a time to be alive, guys. We are here. We are the Rockpile Report. I'm your host, Bill, season ticket holder, Drew Gear. That's my producer, Chris Krueger. I don't know if you can tell, I've lost my voice, and I still haven't gotten it back after this past weekend shenanigans. What a time, what a time, what a time to be alive. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, strap in. We have one hell of a podcast for you. Chris, it is our first live recap of the season.
Do you want me to, let me read this to you on my phone. Baltimore came into Buffalo for a heavyweight matchup on Sunday Night Football. Baltimore, messed up, lost my place. Baltimore seemed to control the entire game until the final 4 minutes when Josh Allen went nuclear and torched the Baltimore Ravens, one of the greatest games in Buffalo Bills history. We break it all down from the run defense to Josh Allen's fourth quarter to the Erie County Sheriffs Department ability to direct traffic when two idiots leave the game early because they thought it was over. That's the description of this show on YouTube that I came up with.
Boys and girls, do we have a conversation for you tonight? First of all, huge shout out to everybody who made the tailgate this week.
You got to talk about the tailgate.
Oh, of course, dude. We're going to do 85 minutes of tailgate talk. You know how people love that? Guys, great time. Gorgeous day. Everybody who showed up had a great time. We actually managed to meet and get the phone numbers of the people who, some of the people involved with the holiday touchdown Bills movie. Yeah. Great day at the tailgate. Great day at the tailgate. A lot of people showed up. We had a lot of fun. Just beers flowing. I like this Teddy Bandana in the comments. Seeing Drew this happy is infectious. Don't worry, guys. It's all downhill from here. But Sunday was an amazing day. It's half the reason I don't have a voice. Can you imagine watching that football game and being a fan of legitimately any other team in the AFC? Think about it for a second. Imagine being a Bengals fan. You're sitting here on a Tuesday afternoon knowing that you won, but you narrowly beat the Browns, okay? While putting up 7 offensive yards in the second half of a game. Chris, imagine paying more than 17% of your current salary cap to 2 wide receivers and putting up 7 yards.
It's insane.
What?
That's why he's my fantasy quarterback.
How does it even happen? How does a stat like that even occur? Steve Noble, I knew you guys left early when Drew didn't respond to my text. Guys, stay till the end of the show. I've got an entire take surrounded about, just based around this. Imagine being a fan of the Houston Texans, whose team put up a measly 9 points. You kicked 3 field goals in an entire game a year after remaking your wide receiver room, and not for nothing, Chris, they're 1 season away from having to pay CJ Stroud.
I like it.
I want you to think about what that means for a second. CJ Stroud is going to get a market-setting contract, whether he deserves it or not, the same way that, what's his face down there in Jacksonville.
Yeah, your other option is to, you franchise him for 2 years and then let him go to free agency, and then you play that process all over again in the draft. You know, if you have a decent quarterback, you got to pay him what the market is when he comes up for free agency.
Seeing Drew's face this red before he's even drunk is a hell of an open. Yes, sir. That's what happens when you get sunburned, when your wife goes, hey, you should put some sunscreen on. I go, pfft, I'm an adult male. Sunscreen? Pfft. Every PSA Sean McDermott's ever done goes right out the window, and then I wake up the next day and go, ooh, that hurts. Where can I find some aloe? So imagine being a fan of the Miami Dolphins. Try to fathom what must be going on in a Dolphins fan's head today, right? They have to sit down after enduring the most laughable game on the entire NFL slate this weekend. At one point, Chris, they were losing 30-0 to the Daniel Jones Colts. What's more probable, that the Daniel Jones Colts are epic, or that the Dolphins are really, really in trouble?
They're in trouble.
I mean, do you remember the time that Mike McDaniel went to the podium and tried to come off as like deep and philosophical? And someone asked him, they were like, hey, why are you so happy? He goes, oh, because we're just one day closer to death. I wonder if he didn't just have a view into the future and he knew that this game was coming and he's just hoping. He goes, man, I'm hoping between now and then, like, something falls from the sky, like a jet engine, and just makes this all go away. Just to avoid him the misery of that Dolphins game.
I love it.
Imagine being a fan of any one of those three teams and then watching Bills Ravens. 81 total points in a game that's just absolute chaos from start to finish. Watching a hilarious fourth quarter rally from the MVP, whether you love him or hate him, he's your MVP. You know, there's people who are like, well, you know, ipso facto, here's an obscure stat that he shouldn't. Here's an obscure stat. 16 points? Less than 4 minutes?
Yeah, 16 points in 4 minutes, 251 passing yards in the fourth quarter.
Legitimate hero ball from no fewer than 4 players on one team to seal one of the most statistically improbable victories of all time. And then you, as a Bengals fan, had to tuck yourself into bed with your little Joe Burrow jammies on, your Jamar Chase jersey, and you pull the blanket up to your chin, and you lay there and you go, damn it, why can't I be a Bills fan? Why can't I be a Bills fan? Yes!
That's what we go. Skid Valve, I would have bet money on Drew getting his teeth fixed before I ever bet on Bills winning that game at the start of the fourth quarter for $4.99. Skid Valve. We appreciate it.
That was almost a legitimate spit take. Almost a legitimate spit take. Hey, listen, I don't have the worst teeth. We proved that this weekend. Okay? And that doesn't make us bad people. It just means I don't care. I'll tell you, Chris, what can I grab? What can I fill my hand with off the back wall as we get into the week 1 recap?
I would say turn around, middle shelf in front of you, 3 from the right.
This guy.
Close. I said 3 from the right. So that would be Ben Holiday soft red wheat Rickhouse proof.
There we go. Woo! Let's get this one going. Here is your week 1 recap. Bills 41, Ravens 40. Let's talk about stats of the game. Quarterback Lamar Jackson, 14-19, 74% completion percentage. 74! 209 yards, 2 tutties, 2 sacks, 70 yards rushing, and 1 rushing touchdown. A 144.4 passer rating, one of the highest that they give out. Josh Allen, 33 of 46, good for 72%. Chris, imagine a game where both quarterbacks throw over 70%. Combined,
impressive.
Almost a combined 600 yards. Like, that's insanity. 2 touchdowns, 1 sack, 30 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. A 112 passer rating for Josh Allen. Wide receiver Keon Coleman, 8 of 11, 112 yards and a touchdown. Ravens defensive line, 11 individual quarterback pressures, 1 sack, only 1 quarterback hit. Defensive tackle Ed Oliver, 35 snaps, 4 pressures, 1 sack and 2 hurries, 1 forced fumble, and 1 hit that may have changed the outcome of the game on its own. The Ravens run block win rate, 79%. As an offensive line, their run block win rate was 79%. And then some notable numbers, Chris. You got to guess what they are. 4.
James Cook?
Nope. 4 is the number of times the Ravens faced 3rd and 3 on their first 2 drives. And they converted every single one of them and averaged 9 yards per play on those snaps. The number 3. What's the number 3, Chris?
The number of cocktails I gave you before 2 o'clock.
You might be accurate there, to be honest. It's the number of 30-plus yard runs Derrick Henry had, 2 of which went for touchdowns. 8. What's the number 8, Chris? Come on, you got this. I know you do.
Is that how many times we converted 3rd down?
It's the number of games where the Ravens have had a 90% win probability in the 4th quarter and gone on to lose since 2021. And the number 0. The number 0.
Keon Coleman.
Nope. It's the number of teams in NFL history who had ever rushed for 235 yards, scored more than 40 points, and still lost the game until Sunday night. What a time to be alive and to be on this side of the ledger, because that was game of the year material and it happened in the very first week. I said last week that the NFL knew what it was doing putting these two teams together. Like, oh, this is going to be the cherry on top of opening week because all the other games are garbage. I didn't realize that they were going to give us the most competitive game of the NFL season.
Yeah, it's got to be game of the year.
And just to give some of you who might not understand the gravity of what you just witnessed, just to give it a little perspective. This might be one of the few times in recent history where an NFL team played a matchup against a fellow conference contender, lost, and still saw their Super Bowl odds go up. That's how crazy of a game this was. The Bills are now the betting favorite. You go to BetMGM, look at their sports book. The Bills are now the betting favorite at plus 600. Whereas last week they were third at 750. They're now plus 600. The Ravens, despite losing, jumped to second and leapfrogged Philly and Green Bay. Well, Detroit and Kansas both slid out of the top four altogether. That's how crazy this game was. If you go up over 80 points, Chris, that has to be must-watch TV. They're going to replay this game during the bye week on NFL Network. It'll be airing somewhere within a month over on NFL Network.
Yeah, I want to kind of piggyback off of Matt Montgomery in the comments. Can someone win MVP in week one? I think Allen is your front runner for MVP until week 4. I think that game covers the first quarter of the season. I think he's the front runner, and it's gonna take another quarterback to put together a string of 3 performances to equal what Josh did on Sunday.
And so after what felt like one of the louder and longer and more acrimonious off seasons that I can remember being a Bills fan, and obviously social media has a lot to do with that. Whether it was Bills fans arguing over the makeup of our own roster, Ravens fans arguing over MVP awards, just Bengals fans randomly puffing their chest out and trying to insert themselves into adult conversations, being like, hey, don't forget about us, we're a contender. Shut up. This weekend was a rough one for the haters. And I got to tell you what, Chris, there's multiple groups of people who need to eat crow this week. And I'm going to go down my laundry list of them because we are the pettiest, hardest drinking Bills podcast.
Are we one of them?
We'll get there. I want to start with all of the people who spent the offseason trying to tell me that there was people in a Bills uniform who are busts. Oh, this guy's a bust. How about this? Let's start with a certain pilot circling the Pacific Northwest somewhere who hates Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid made that whole vein of people hot after this performance, right? Like they had to feel kind of bad about themselves, some of the things they've tweeted, some of the things that they've said, this never-ending tirade of negativity about Dalton Kincaid. He turned in what is a completely adequate stat line in a game that needed everything every playmaker could give them to kind of keep them relevant in it. Dalton Kincaid not only did his job, but drew attention. Chris, he was perfect. 4-4. Scores in a really nice touchdown grab. Like, it's not like it wasn't contact. You know what I mean? Like, he's getting hit. He knows he's going to absorb contact. He plucks the ball out of the air, covers up, makes sure he survives the ground. He does everything you can ask of him early. And then for the rest of the game, the Ravens committed safeties to watching Dalton Kincaid. And that opened up the field for everybody else. There it is. I don't care about safety or CB2 anymore. We have 17. That's why all of this conversation seems stupid to me. Everyone's like, oh my God, Dalton Kincaid stinks. Dalton Kincaid did literally everything that was asked of him and more by drawing defensive attention, opening up the outside passing game late. When the Dolphins, Jesus Christ, when the Ravens pass defense came out in must-have situations of prevent, and they go, who should we pay attention to? It's not a shock that their eyes were on Dalton Kincaid in a lot of different snaps. Go back, watch, just replay the game. You don't need all 22 to see it. Watch the gravity that Dalton Kincaid had on that defense as soon as he scored that touchdown. It was awesome.
You can go the other way with the tight end room. I mean, Jackson Hawes did fairly well for being a tight end. He had, I think he had a couple good plays, good blocks. You know, our tight end room is coming around.
Well, and when you have players like that, people worried about the wide receiver depth chart. You go, what? We're literally spending time arguing. You know, Johnny Utah hits it on the head. You spent the whole summer arguing about whether it should be, what is it, Laviska Shenault or Tyrell Shavers. Tyrell Shavers better make this roster. What did Tyrell Shavers matter in this one? Okay. You know what? I think we're learning very quickly it doesn't matter because you have the league MVP. You have one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever put a helmet on and walk onto an NFL field in Josh Allen. He's a physical freak of nature. He can run the ball. He can avoid contact. He can stiff arm people while he's in the pocket and buy himself time. He has a cannon for an arm so he can hit out routes and make sideline throws that most quarterbacks wouldn't attempt. All of this discourse all offseason long every year gets dumber and dumber, and we as a fan base keep doing it. The haters about the guys like Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman, everyone walked away from this one hopefully feeling kind of dumb. Hopefully. Ed Oliver, how about, Chris, the contingent of Bills fans who have just besmirched the name of Ed Oliver?
Drew is specifically talking to Pat Moran of Talking Buffalo. Specifically.
I know a guy named Jeff. I used to play softball with him, and I'll tell you what, Jeff and I have had some really harsh conversations about Ed Oliver. But when Ed Oliver is on, he is a phenomenal football player. And he just put out one of these games. Like this anti-Ed Oliver crowd has existed for a long time. Well before he got his contract extension. And I feel like some of them died off once he got paid because they still trust their GM. But the ones who didn't really got loud, and they're going to have to watch that game and just, Chris, what do you do? What do you do but sit there with folded arms and go, You just make that face. If you're an Ed Oliver hater, the only thing you can do is make a stupid face and pout. Maybe the single most impressive defensive player for the Buffalo Bills all night was Ed Oliver. Okay? Allen, Palmer, and Coleman are going to get remembered forever. Matt Prater is going to get remembered forever for the way this game ended. But none of it happens without two clutch plays from Ed Oliver on a night when he just kept making them over and over again. He has the penetration where he strips the ball from Derrick Henry, one of the more sure-handed running backs in the entire NFL. Okay? That's a phenomenal individual effort in a vacuum to change the way a game goes. But that's not even, that's obviously the most impactful play. I don't want to get away from myself. But there's another one that he's not getting enough credit for. The Ravens had an opportunity to go for it on 4th and 3 and put the game away. And when you have a mobile quarterback, okay, a mobile quarterback like Lamar Jackson, and an offense that up until the past drive or two, the Bills defense had done nothing to stop the Ravens offense. It would make sense if you're an aggressive and smart head coach to go for it. And Lamar Jackson in his post-game comments literally said that if he hadn't been sort of cramping, he would have stayed on the field and they would have gone for it. You know, I think the way the question was framed was, you know, what happened out there, and did you guys consider going for it on 4th and 3 rather than punting the ball back to the Bills, knowing you might not get it back? And his answer was, well, I was sort of cramping. They say cramping, but if you go back and watch the tape, he gets obliterated. I don't mean hit. I don't mean, he dropped back to throw and he got hit by somebody. He gets obliterated, detonated, crushed, smoked. I could break out the thesaurus and try to find words for getting destroyed on an NFL football field. That is everything Ed Oliver did to Lamar Jackson on that play where he makes a 6-yard pass to DeAndre Hopkins to get them to 4th and 3. He fed him his lunch. And you watch him get up and kind of hobble off the field. And I'm positive that hit played more of a role in his inability to be available for that final play than any cramping that he wants to cite, man. It's one of those things where having an Ed Oliver, everyone now, I've seen a lot of discourse about maybe this is the year. It's good. Maybe this year Ed Oliver becomes a Pro Bowler. Maybe. But maybe he's always just been this guy. And he just needs opportunities. And this defensive line is finally talented enough on the edges that people can't keep singling him up in the middle of the field. And that allowed him to make plays. I wasn't overwhelmingly impressed with Joey Bosa, something we're going to talk about later in the show. But the existence of a Joey Bosa, Greg Rousseau playing on the edge, the rest of the defensive ends, for the first time in a long time, Ed Oliver got to go up against an upper echelon opponent with a pretty good interior offensive line. And I shouldn't say pretty good. They're above average. And he showed off because they kept singling him up and he kept winning his reps. Everyone has to start to understand that Ed Oliver is worth the money he's being paid. The team just needs to do enough to allow him to showcase that, because as an undersized D tackle, no, you're not going to win against maulers. You need to be put by the rest of the team in positions to succeed. I see what you're pointing to, and we will, Chris.
All right, I was to say, I'll pay Ed Oliver that amount of money for the amount of cramps he gives out to players.
100%.
Because that hit on Lamar was incredible.
It was devastating. And for a smaller player, something, I think it was Sophie St. George. She was the one who paid us to last week with your conversation about the quarterback wedge.
Oh, yeah, the quarterback wedgie.
I feel like we didn't give it enough due, but it's time to have that conversation. I think this is a good place for it.
Didn't Josh Allen have a touchdown
you know what?
run?
Give me a minute. The anti-Trey White crowd also has to shut the hell up. Hear me? You all shut the hell up. And here's why. Everyone spent the offseason complaining about the acquisition or the reacquisition of Trey White. Oh, he's a retread. Oh, they're just spinning the hits. He's too old. He's too slow, blah, 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 blah. And then training camp rolled around and everyone went, wow, Trey White's actually got some chops. He's actually showing out really well. And then he was hurt. Pulls a groin. And they plug a rookie in to play cornerback. And everyone hand-wrung and talked about how worried they were. It's almost as if Sean McDermott understands how to coach a secondary and how not to expose his secondary. Because year after year after year, no matter who plays, whether it's Levi Wallace, whether it's Dane Jackson, whether it's Dorian Strong, whether it's Trey White, the defense is the defense is the defense is the defense. Now, this game had a lot of notable breakdowns in the secondary. I don't fault the outside corners for any. But one of the things that I love is that everyone who was worried about Trey White were the same people saying they were worried about Dorian Strong. Do you guys know they have the same RAS score? They tested almost identical at the combine in a lot of key factors like 3-cone drill and 40 time. They're very similar athletes. And I'll tell you what, Strong was fine. But the mistakes that he did make were things that maybe a savvier cornerback doesn't get caught up in. I've got two examples. There's an iffy holding call against Dorian Strong that a cornerback who's had a few years in the NFL probably understands how to get his hands farther inside the jersey, away from the side the ref is on, so that he doesn't get called for that. It was a little ticky-tacky, it was borderline, but a good veteran corner probably understands how to get away with that one. And then there's the rep and man coverage where it's just a simple gaffe of inexperience. Dorian Strong comes out, he lines up and he's playing man and he's covering Zay Flowers. He comes to the left side of the formation as Zay Flowers comes over on motion. And then post snap, it's a mesh play. And as the wide receivers cross, Dorian Strong has not communicated to anybody else that they need to pick up Zay Flowers. So he tries to chase him across the backside of the formation, literally does his own rub route against our own linebackers, and Zay Flowers is wide open for what turns into like a 22-yard game. Pitch and catch, and he's off to the races. A savvier, more experienced cornerback would have been able to communicate, hey, I'm about to get jammed up here. Somebody switch. Hey, switch. That doesn't happen. I'm telling you that Trey White, based on what I saw from a rookie in his very first game in this defense, will be fine. And all of you who derided that pickup, Guys, the fact that Dorian Strong is a rookie in his first game against that offense did all right is a testament to the fact that we are going to be okay. And you all need to eat a little bit of crow about how concerned you were about Trey White being on the roster for next to no guaranteed money. Also, there's the defensive line being fixed crowd. That sucks. I was admittedly one of these people, and I got to get kind of quiet right now because here I was thinking, okay, we got Larry Ogunjobi. We drafted 2 guys who looked really good in the preseason. It's all going to be great.
What was that Brett Coleman tweet?
Wow.
Remember the Brett Coleman tweet?
I retweeted it.
Yeah, Brett Coleman, friend of the show, tweeted out, two things can be true. 1, Derrick Henry's a mutant. 2, the Bills' defensive line is bad for the 4th year in a row.
For the 4th year in a row, the Bills' defensive line is bad.
To that extent.
We all know that schematically, this marriage of the Bills to smaller, penetrating, more athletic defensive tackles, rather than traditional 2-gap style 1-tech players, has its weaknesses and flaws. We all know that. We all recognize that it has its ups and downs. Every single one of the flaws with that philosophy was on display for everybody to see. The Ravens had a 70% run block win rate against our front seven, and it looked uglier than that in real time. There was multiple plays, including that Derrick Henry 46-yard, probably against any other offense in football, game-sealing 46-yard touchdown run, where our defensive line gets completely just blocked out of the rushing lane, 1v1. It wasn't like they double-teamed somebody and moved them. Man on man, they shoved the hell out of our defensive line. And on that play, you watch Bernard just get easily sealed off by the center. And now there is just a runway, and there's nothing but Taylor Rapp between Derrick Henry and the end zone. Even if Taylor Rapp could have taken a good angle to get in front of Derrick Henry, would you have made that call? Those are called business decisions at the NFL level. They forced our secondary to make a lot of business decisions.
Yeah, that's what Zach Moss said. Business decision. Yeah, I wouldn't. It's hard to tackle Derrick Henry. You know,
It's not just hard to tackle him. It's hard to tackle him when the offensive line of the Ravens is literally going hat on a hat with your D-line and erasing them like they don't exist and getting that extra 5th man up to the 2nd level. That's where it becomes a problem, and we saw a lot of that. A lot of it. This defensive line has its work cut out for it. Week 7, getting Michael Hoyt and getting Larry Ogunjobi back, like it can't come fast enough.
Is that going to be the fix?
I don't know that it's a fix, but it's something because I can't watch any more of what I saw in that capacity on Sunday night. I mean, it's part of the reason we're here talking about this. What a wild game this was. And then, Chris, that's how you get to 238 rushing yards as a Ravens offense. And then to exacerbate those dynamics, the issues on the defensive line continued the trend we saw in the preseason at the 2nd level, where linebackers and safeties were either exposed to blockers or just never on the same page. You know, let me stop and look at the comments here before Rapp and Bishop looked bad and took bad angles, but the D-line and linebackers didn't do any favors. You are 100% right, Matthew Montgomery. Here's what I want to point out. I've come to a place when it comes to these guys that I don't even blame the individual talents at this point, because I have watched the Bills put together some really cohesive defensive game plans with guys in the secondary named Sharice Wright and Trey Elston and Jaquan Johnson and Saron Neal, guys that nobody will ever remember in the annals of football history. And they've been just fine on defense. I've seen that. This is more a byproduct of the existing pieces have no idea how to work in conjunction with each other, and it's terrifying to watch play out in real time. And it almost echoes that sentiment that you heard a few weeks ago at the end of camp about it they were trying to figure out, getting the safeties on the same page as the linebackers. And then in his post-game comments, Sean McDermott was asked on Monday, actually on Monday I think it was, where he made a comment about he just wants to get the safeties playing free. I just want them to be able to play and not think. Well, let's take a look at where they are now. Nothing stamps this concept more than the Zay Flowers 39-yard catch that set up his eventual touchdown. There's a play where Cole Bishop, I don't know if he lined up incorrectly or just didn't know the fucking play call. Either way, it's inexcusable because you see him line up 12 yards off the line of scrimmage, put his hand up, and then almost like he forgot what the play was, jerk step into a blitz. Chris, from 12 yards deep, you're never going to make it to the line of scrimmage on a blitz, are you?
Mm-mm.
But he does it anyway. And instead, like, I have a hard time believing even an aggressive DC like Bobby Babich would ever consider blitzing from the back of the box with a guy like Cole Bishop, who's already admittedly having trouble just feeling his way into what the system's supposed to be this year, and knowing the speed at wide receiver and quarterback that the Ravens have. So on that play, I personally believe he just lined up in the wrong spot. He knew it was a blitz, but then out of muscle memory just went to his deep spot and then went, oh shit, I'm supposed to blitz, and did it anyway. The result is that Rapp is stuck on an island in zone defense, but he's like, hey, I'm playing the deep part of the field. I'm in the deep middle. And Zay Jones takes his easy curl route across the face. There's nobody there. Lamar Jackson is a giant window to throw into, and it's a pitch and catch, and Tyler Rapp has to go chase him down. It was a horrific play. It's a mess. You have to hope that as you play some of these teams with less dynamic passing offenses, Rapp and Bishop and just Babich can all get on the same page and understand what's being called and what's out there in front of them. Because if they can't, that secondary in the center of the field is going to be a giant liability. And it's going to take away from the effectiveness of Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard if they constantly have to worry about babysitting the safeties. Like, Chris, when's the last time we had to say that about a Sean McDermott team?
Never.
It's literally never been talked about. So for the people worried that that was a thing, good for you. And for the people like me who thought like, oh, our defensive line is going to be just fine and our secondary is going to be just fine. Yikes. Got to eat a little crow there. And then there's the Lamar is better than Josh conversation I had to get subjected to all year. First of all, I respect Ravens fans' hustle. They are petty. The problem is if you're trying to argue, well, this guy should have been MVP this year, he should have been, and now the goalposts keep moving. It's all stupid. It's all meaningless hardware. None of those awards, those accolades, those recognitions matter when it comes to X's and O's of football. This is where I want to go back to Sophia's comment that she paid us to discuss last week, and we really did it a disservice. Chris, you know what the difference between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen is?
I'm not going to say that.
One of them is built like a bull moose. One of them is literally this unkillable thing that no matter what you throw at him, he just keeps moving forward. And one of them is the guy who gets hit by Ed Oliver and has to come off the field because of cramps. When's the last time that the Bills lost a game and Josh went, well, you know, we would have gone for it on 4th and 3, but I had cramps. Josh would rather die. He would rather die on his shield and try another. Remember the Titans game when he tried to cartwheel for a first down? He almost got crippled by Jeffrey Simmons of the Tennessee Titans, trying to get a first down to help his team win a football game. That legitimately happened. And yet, here we sit arguing whether Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen is the better quarterback because of what offseason hardware. No. I saw everything I needed to see in that game. In that game, our quarterback was just as effective a rusher when he needed to be. But also there's a play at the goal line, Chris. You know, Sophia had asked about the tush push and why they don't call it the quarterback wedge.
Yeah.
There's only a handful of quarterbacks who are built to do what they do with Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts is part of the reason that the tush push works. Do you know how much that guy squats? Have you ever seen him physically? For his height and weight, he is one of the stronger athletes at his size in the NFL. Josh Allen is a moose. Lamar Jackson's a slight guy. Other teams have tried tush pushes. They've tried similar things. The New York Giants tried it 2 years ago and injured both their center and their quarterback on the same play. Because this play is not meant for everyone. It's meant that I'm going to take what's already a hammer, right, in my offensive line. I'm going to add weight to it because I'm going to give the ball to my running back. And then I'm going to add a giant guy swinging it because my fullback is going to grab two cheeks and push from behind. Do you know that Josh Allen did it first? I have this on record. From the mouth of Patrick DeMarco, who I met at a party read through at his house once. I talked to Patrick DeMarco after the...
Were you there to be a servant?
I was there the same way they used to hire freaks from the circus.
Why are you allowed at Reed's house with other NFL players present? I'm better looking than you are, and I'm still not allowed in that area of Reed's life.
It only happened once. I think he immediately regretted it. But the idea is, talking to Patrick DeMarco, there's a conversation that takes place in the 2018 win over the Detroit Lions. They go to huddle up. It's 4th and 2. And, you know, if the Bills punt here, there's a minute and change left on the clock. And to Patrick DeMarco's word, he goes, oh, we huddle like it's supposed to be a play, and we all kind of get together. And there's a moment where Josh is kind of reading off his thing, and he's listening to the offensive coordinator. And all of a sudden, he leans over next to him and grabs DeMarco by the face mask and goes, get my ass over this pile. We're winning it right effing now. And that's it. And then he breaks the huddle. And they go, and they snap the ball, and sure enough, Patrick DeMarco runs his shoulder right up Josh Allen's butt crack and shoves him over the line, and they win the game, getting 2 yards on a quarterback sneak. Chris, 2 yards on a QB sneak is almost like, until Josh Allen, I feel like it was kind of unheard of, right?
Local evening news in the comments. Lamar Jackson is built like Kato Kalin.
You need power and force in order to make that work. And you saw it in this Sunday Night Football game. The difference of our quarterback just got smoked and he has to come off the field for cramps versus Josh Allen going, hey, shove me over this goal line multiple times. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to take this thing and surf it over the top. Why? Because I'm bigger and stronger than everybody else here. I'll go toe-to-toe with the D tackle. I don't give a shit. That's the reason that Josh Allen will forever be more valuable than Lamar Jackson. It's because he can do the things. He can make the clutch throws. He can make big plays downfield. He can escape dirty pockets. But also when things get in tight and you just need toughness, physical toughness and power, Josh Allen has it in ways that Lamar Jackson can only dream of. And it's not Lamar Jackson's fault. It's literally just who they are. It's their physical makeup. It's their God-given gifts. And nobody has them in, Chris, nobody's a more physically gifted athlete at their size with their skill set for the position they play than Josh Allen.
Yes.
I defy you to find me one. It's not Patrick Mahomes, because tell me this, tell me Patrick Mahomes is going to do what Josh Allen does physically with the football in his hands.
Not happening.
Lamar Jackson tries, but then he has to come off the field when it matters. Nah, I don't buy that. He's not.
I'm at the point now where I get mad during draft season when a quarterback's comp is Josh Allen. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. You know why? Because you have to be ready to die. You have to be ready to die for this thing. You have to be ready to go out on your shield like Spartans of old if you're going to play the game the way Josh Allen plays it. And so anytime you see a quarterback coming out in the NFL draft and they go, well, his comp is Josh Allen, a la Trey Lance, you can laugh that one right off the page and wait for him to be an unrestricted free agent looking for a job while probably working part-time as a receptionist at a chiropractor's office. Like that's the NFL, baby. And we happen to have the guy who does it best. So I hope that for people, who's the better quarterback, Lamar or Josh? I hope that this game, or at least my synopsis of that aspect of it, puts the stupid argument to rest for at least a little while. I'm not foolish enough to believe it's forever. I just hope it's a little while. Jessica Tennis, now that's an OJ reference. What a podcast, guys, and what a time. So that brings me to this week's hero and zero of the game. Our hero of the week, I want to give it, there's a runner-up, there's a qualifier, but I got to give it to the guy I thought was the most impressive, and that's wide receiver Keon Coleman.
Don't take it personally, all right? Franchise star players are a lot like Highlanders. There can only be one.
44 routes run, 11 targets, 112 yards. Keon Coleman paced the entire team in their usage as a receiver, their targets, the routes run, and the way that they used him, the places he was targeted. This was a real watershed moment for Keon Coleman. For those of you who don't know what that means, go get a thesaurus, look it up. It wasn't just the stats, but it's how he manufactured the stats. He was targeted on the boundary. He would start out wide and work his way into the middle of the field. His reception chart, if you go to NFL Next Gen Stats, it's awesome. The way that they lined him up in multiple places around the formation. And it was really encouraging all the different ways they tried to manufacture his production in the offense. You know, he worked from the right slot on his touchdown catch. Right now, mind you, we'll talk about that in a second. Multiple first down catches and multiple catches that produced yards after the catch that came where he started out wide and worked his way to the middle of the field and found that place where we all know he's a mismatch for most safeties, but he found a way to get there. Good on the offensive coordinator for drawing it up, good on the quarterback for finding him, but good on Keon Coleman for having the route running chops to get there. And here's what I find is hilarious, Chris. Why don't you throw it up there on the screen for people? No one likes to ruin things more than nerds. Nerds love to take the things that we love and pervert them and make them weird. There is a fantasy football website out there, Fantasy Points Data, who are trying to tell me that the route win rate for Keon Coleman this week was 0.0%. So he's somehow lesser than when it comes to fantasy football analytics. You know, this is the reason that the movie Revenge of the Nerds had to be made. Nerds wouldn't get bullied if they didn't do things like this. Do you know how dumb you sound when you say that out loud to a Bills fan? If I tell you I thought Keon Coleman was wildly impressive against the Baltimore Ravens, and you go, yeah, well, actually, he had a 0.0 separation metric, and his separation score was the negative 0.0049. Do you know how badly I want to throw a brick through a window when I hear that? Of course, I'd love to come, what was it, Chris? Alpha Beta, the name of the frat in Revenge of the Nerds? I'd love to come spray paint that on your car if I hear you say that to me out loud. Keon Coleman had maybe the most complete game of his entire career, and it wasn't just the stat line. It was the fact that in clutch moments, he was available. That touchdown catch off the tip, few players make that. That's a heads-up play by a kid who's glued in. He is dialed into the game in that moment. I love it.
I think Johnny Utah in the comments, I'm trying to find it, he mentioned that Keon Coleman looks a lot like Eric Moulds.
I don't know about Eric Moulds because I don't think he has that deep speed, but I'll tell you what, the physicality that he was playing with, they had a hard time with him, right? Like they had a really difficult time. And Sean McDermott's defense has nothing on Johnny Cochran's defense. Now that, guys, for those of you listening on audio, what you're missing is that the discourse here in the chat is full of OJ references. It's amazing. When scout nerds say someone's the next Allen, it's like your drinking buddy saying his new girlfriend looks like Scarlett Johansson. Listen, if any of first of all, none of my friends have ever dated anyone that attractive. Okay. I married up. Chris married up. We're both very happy to admit that. We're ugly men dating attractive women.
No. Let's scale this back. When it comes to that, you have to put your personality first in order to get women. I have to rely on my looks and not say anything. That's how that works. I have excellent hair, not a bad face. There's nothing physically attractive about you, which is why you have to use your personality and your charm to get women.
My charm? Oh, yeah, because I'm adorable.
You have charm when you talk. I have to rely on this and this only. When I open this, it goes downhill, and it goes downhill fast.
Jessica Tennis, I was thinking the Bills must have listened to the Animal House speech to get themselves motivated in that fourth quarter. I'll tell you what, guys. Keon Coleman, right? Josh Clark says it in the comments, body control is insane for Keon, and they don't track that at the combine. You're damn right. His ability to make himself available for footballs is something that's special. That's why they drafted him. That's why they were comfortable trading back multiple times while still getting him. Because they said, listen, Xavier Worthy's speed, that's a thing, but you know what Xavier Worthy can't do is make a lot of these ridiculous catches where you shouldn't be open, but you find a way to get there. That's what separates Keon Coleman. And this was just such a great, it was such an encouraging game from that kid, who is a kid in the NFL sense. I'm hoping that this is the start of something against a secondary that they put a lot of assets in the Ravens into fixing that secondary, having that game and having timely catches. And Chris, also, do you see when he got up off the ground after being tripped up on the play that ultimately set the Bills up for a game-winning field goal? The way he almost knew it, like he wasn't even mad. He got up and he was excited because he recognized that getting tackled and going to the ground might have been the best thing for him. He looked up and was just laughing and was like, yeah, let's go, baby. We got this thing. That's savvy. To not be disappointed you didn't make the end zone. You saved the game for the Buffalo Bills by making that catch and run. You saved it. You saved it. The other guy who saved it is the runner-up for Hero of the Week. And the only reason he's the runner-up is because I was so impressed all game long with Keon Coleman, is Matt Prater. Chris, I went and picked him up as my fantasy kicker because I had Tyler Bass. And as soon as I heard it, even before the signing was official, I picked up Matt Prater. Matt Prater's old, and he showed up and went, I don't know half my teammates' names. How many hours of practice do you think he got with Reed before that kick?
Well, what did he say? He got signed on Thursday.
He got signed on Thursday.
So Friday. So technically Friday's walkthrough. And I don't know how much. I've never talked to Reed before about like what they're doing Saturday, because Saturday we had a home game. So I know Saturday they do meetings most of the day, so there's no practice. So I don't know where he found time to practice with Matt Prater and get a connection down.
Sophia St. George says she misses the victory chants.
No. Sorry. So that bit's over. We have to find a new bit.
Chris has to find a new bit. Guys, why don't you suggest new bits for Chris, the producer, in the comments? For the rest of the show, I want to hear, everyone who's watching live, your best idea for a new bit for Chris for the rest of the podcast season. If Keon scores on that final play, I win $1,500 on a $5 parlay bet. Oh, Steve Noble, that's one of the worst beats. It sucks, but getting tripped may have won us the game. I can lose $5. You know what, Steve? See, your heart's in the right place. This is why I hate gambling, because I'm always going to be rooting against my teams. It's like fantasy football. I made a rule. I try not to get guys who are on the Bills, because I'm always like, even if it's not in our own best interest, I want them to do that. You know, the old Rob Johnson myth that he took sacks to protect his own salary, which if those of you who subscribe to golongtd.com and are part of his happy hour series, someone who shall remain unnamed asked Rob Johnson that question, and he laughed and goes, no, I just really couldn't read a defense. I got sacked a lot, and it just sucked because I really wanted to do better. Keon said if he didn't get tripped up, he would have went down to control the clock. And that's it. Keon showed he had this game in control, but Matt Prater coming in here with almost no time. And Chris, did he look stressed?
No, but
no, he had that
but fans should have been. I mentioned it earlier. Tom DeLoss, formerly of Cover One, was in here way at the beginning of the show. I'm sorry, but whoever the tackle was that decided to not block Kyle Hamilton on that kick, even though we won, you should have been ripped a new asshole for not blocking Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He almost got it.
I would have, if that kick gets blocked, Chris, and it goes down, which we're going to talk about in a second, goes down as one of the Billsiest losses of all time. No one would have forgiven that guard. But now we don't talk about that play. Mm-hmm. Now we don't have to because we get to enjoy the victory. And I guess something I'll say is that looking this like Super Mexican who was at the game because he came to the tailgate. I got pretty sick of the Bright Side song, but man, when we all sang it with Dawson Knox on the field without Drew and Chris in the stadium, it was awesome. The feeling that gives you. When I saw the video, right? And when I say video, when I watched it on TV, because I literally looked at my wife and she goes, "You just threw a temper tantrum and now they're going to kick a field goal and win the game. Don't you feel like an ass?" This is my wife who's been sleeping on the couch all night long. And I just come through the door like a ball of fire. And I fuck this and fuck that. And the fucking. And she looks at me and she goes, "Now don't you feel like a moron?" And I have to sit there quietly. And I watched Prater come off the bench in what should be a stressful moment for literally any kicker in the NFL. And he looks like Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven. He's just dead-eyed. He's like, "Nah, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to make this field goal." And when I do, it's literally, he's like, "Hey, y'all better back up. I'm about to blast this guy." He was like, "Hey, y'all better back up. I'm about to blast this Ravens team into 0-1. Nobody knew what to do about it. He just had ice in his veins. And that's what you get for being 41 years old, having seen it all and still being a master of your craft. Matt Prater is he's an all-timer, man. He's an all-timer. This game and him getting paraded around by the offensive line is one of the coolest things. I've made a note of it to go back to this later when we're in the postseason and we're going, how did we get here? Well, we started there. We started with that moment where we were like, that guy can come off the street and feel comfortable in this building, making that kick. Ice water. God, it's giving me chills just thinking about it. And now to tonight's zero of the game, pop and rap legend Drake.
You folks fell on your face. You get an F- in my book.
First of all, I want to be completely honest. I'm Team Kendrick Lamar. Okay? Drake can kick rocks. Also, what an idiot to publicly state that you bet against the Buffalo Bills. He put $250,000. Chris, what was it?
I don't pay attention to other people's bets.
He had a bet that would have. He was literally betting against the Bills. Don't do that. I have notes here on my phone. I got to look at it to get the exact number because that's how stupid this is. Here we go. Live show notes. Drake put $250,000. A bet on Baltimore over the Buffalo Bills on Sunday morning and then put it on Instagram like an idiot. Being like, "Oh, yeah, man, go Ravens flock, baby." First of all, you're Canadian. What do you know about American football? Second of all, you suck. Go back to obscurity where Kendrick Lamar sent you. Third of all, don't you dare publicly disparage my team and talk up your bet against him. This is what you get. Imagine having 200. Here's in the comments tonight, Steve Noble's talking about losing a $1,500 parlay because Keon Coleman went down instead of going in for the touchdown.
How much meat?
Imagine $250,000.
Say Steve with $1,500, he could get a lot of meat at Palmer's.
Yes, Palmer's Direct for You Market, sponsor of the show. Number one in the meat market, number one in my heart. It's crazy to think, right? Like, it's crazy to sit here and talk about the amount of the hubris that goes into advertising that you put $250,000 against the NFL MVP. This went exactly the way that it should go. Spin in the comments with the new rule on kickers able to break in balls for the entire week. adds 10 to 15 yards to a kicker's range, according to Pat McAfee. Spin, Reed Ferguson, Bills long snapper, not only co-signs that, but openly talked this week about how important a change it was to the rules. For those of you at home who don't know what Spin in the comments here live is talking about, in the past, you got brought K-balls on game day, and you had to break them in as quickly as possible and then decide what three you were going to use. You had A ball, B ball, and C ball. And the A ball was your best one, and you give it to them in every clutch situation. And if something happens that, you have ball B, and then God forbid, you got to go to the one C that's not as broken in, and it doesn't go well. The fact that we now get to bring our own and work them in and get every kicking ball conditioned, you're going to see more game-winning kicks. I love that we were able to give Matt Prater the best of what we could in that moment. But fuck Drake. Back to my original point. To hell with that guy being out on yachts with 14-year-olds going, hey, we're just friends. Yeah, she's just the heroine on Stranger Things and she's famous. Don't worry, it's not weird that I, as a 30-something-year-old adult, want to be on a boat with a 14-year-old. And then he loses a $250,000 bet on the Buffalo Bills. You suck. Also, you know who else is the runner-up here, Chris? I've got a couple. The idiot who nailed... Guys, I don't know if you know that this happened, but over on FanDuel Sportsbook, there's a guy who nailed, in a parlay, nailed every single Sunday game. From start to finish, he picked every single money line winner right up until Sunday Night Football. His bet would have paid him out in a 15-leg parlay $57,000. FanDuel gave him a cash out option for $16,000 ahead of Sunday Night Football. He didn't take it. Guess what happened? That's the bad beat of the week, Chris. Usually we try to do a Chris's bad beats segment. There's no worse beat in gambling than that. How do you hit every single game on the money line and not take $15,000 on a bet that you paid like a few $100s for? He held on, Chris. He chased the dragon.
You know what you get with $57,000 from FanDuel?
What?
You can buy a brand new Ford Bronco.
Another OJ reference, keeping it going. I love it. I love the chat for our live shows. I love the way you mutants turn this into something just completely, like I'm trying to keep up with the comments and I go, wow, this is amazing. What are we talking about here? What did I walked into a totally separate conversation just looking at the comments. Now they're talking about Brad Robbins getting cut. Like, I love that our group, guys, you guys as my listeners, I love you to death. I've got a couple more zeros of the week I got to rattle off here. First of all, if I want to stick to Bills players, Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa had a decent game for his first outing. Really disappointing the angles he took to the ball in the running game, though. I thought that was supposed to be his thing. They're like, oh, he's a complete 3-down D end. I don't know. There was times he looked absolutely lost in run defense. And I'm hoping some of that is just his acclimation to the run game defense, the fits, the play calling. But also, I'm disappointed that for a team that said they had a plan to keep Bosa healthy for the rest of the year, the fact that they played him 69% of the snaps, don't do that. What are you doing? Joey Bosa was signed to be your closer. Why is he playing all your rundowns? Why is he tying Greg Rousseau for snap count? Don't do that. Chris, can you agree with me that Mike Hoyt can't get back here fast enough?
True.
We apparently have to keep Bosa healthy enough that we can get to week 7 so that Hoyt can take over the rundowns and allow Bosa to just be what he was signed to be, which is your pass rush specialist. Jesus Christ, it scared me seeing him in there on so many rundowns. And then there's Cole Bishop, and I don't even know what you can say about this kid. He didn't rack up out of all the negatives that came out of this game, he didn't get enough of the negativity that I think he deserves. I will say that this underscores why I hate PFF. Okay? They said Taylor Rapp did a worse job than Cole Bishop. They said that, oh shit, my chair. Chris. Falling down. Man down. White House down. Fat guy down.
Well, you do like to sit below the mic.
So here's what's crazy to me. They gave Taylor Rapp a 29.8 coverage grade and said that he gave up 72 yards compared to Cole Bishop's 5. But like we talked about earlier, that Zay Jones completion is 100% Cole Bishop's fault. That's why we don't like nerds. When you try to nerd the game of football, you take away from what it is. And you go, oh, well, here's a rating on a player. And this guy did a terrible job in coverage. What you don't understand is that he had no choice because he was literally left alone to die on an island by his partner there at the safety tandem. It's embarrassing. Zay Flowers' catch is 100% Cole Bishop's fault, but he doesn't catch the poor rating for it. I saw way too much of that from his game all night. Catches on like linebackers having to try to make up for Cole Bishop's lack of awareness, lack of proper positioning, just lack of being able to time where his zone should be and where he should break on the ball. It's crazy to me that we're still here defending or at least protecting Cole Bishop when in reality he was one of the worst players on the entire field for either team all night long. He's absolutely got to clean that up or else, I don't know, Chris, how do you continue trusting him when you know you got games against the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Texans, the Eagles? How do you trust Cole Bishop?
You just named a bunch of games that are later in the season. So
what, you pray?
Yeah, I'm going to pray.
Donnie Brook in the comments says, Rapp has to stop hurting our guys. The funny thing is you say that, and it is a trope, but there's a play, I think it's the Hopkins touchdown, where Hopkins is catching the ball, and I think Rapp's head is where all of our heads at, where he's just hoping he can come in, hit him really violently, and jar the ball loose. And instead, he just wails Christian Benford right in the spine. And I had a thought where I go, stop doing that. That thing right there. Stop hitting our players with your shoulder and helmet as if it's like he's a day late, a dollar short. It's not his intent. His heart's in the right place. He just ends up physically in the wrong place. And a lot of people get hurt in the process. And then, Chris, if you want to chuck me one of those stupid cans, or in fact, don't throw it because I won't catch it. Walk it over here. Yeah. Walk it over here.
I gotta unplug.
Guys, one of the last losers of the evening is Chris and I. Because we rankled our quarterback, we hurt everyone's feelings, and we left the game early. I want to get into my final thoughts about this one as we wrap the show. First of all, Sunday was a storybook day. It was a storybook day. Tailgate weather could not have been better. It was a little cold in the morning, got warm in the afternoon, cooled off at night. It was hoodie weather. It was perfect. The food was incredible. Those of you who don't believe me, go follow our barbecue handle at Q42 on Twitter. I'm telling you, the spread was incredible. We had a great group of people who came in from all over the world. We had people from Montreal. We had people from West Virginia.
Dude, those people from Montreal, I almost said to them because they offered us money for the food.
Well, that was it.
No, I was going to tell them, if you don't eat one of these shotgun shells, I will fight you right now.
The guy
eat our food.
The guy literally looked at me and goes, okay, seriously though, and he's French Canadian, so he's got a little accent, and he goes, seriously though, how much do you want? And I was like, I literally want you to shut up, put that in your face, and go have a good time. That's why I do this. And I got to watch a sea of humanity kind of form around our tables, around our TVs, around Bob and his NFL's, he had the red zone, not red zone, he had the split screen YouTube TV Sunday ticket going, the quad view. Our crew had so much fun this week.
I'm drinking mine now.
You can drink yours now. I'll drink mine on camera. You go down, you take that day from the time the tailgate kicked off at 10:30 a.m. until the clock read 0. It was a perfect Sunday at Bills football. I'll never have, like, these are the days that I'm going to be able to tell my kids about. It's the reason that I bought new tickets in the new stadium, because I want to be able to share this with my children and show them how much fun being a fan of the Buffalo Bills can be and what the community that is built around this team can be like. That's what I want. Now, there's something that keeps kicking around inside my head, and it's Josh Allen's comments regarding fans who left early. Josh Allen steps up and says, hey, we're going to be fine. Because they were like, oh, what about people who left early? He goes, yeah, some people left. We're going to be fine, but have some faith next time. Have some faith next time. If anyone has maybe, I don't know, the right to lack a little bit of faith, it's Bills fans who didn't just start showing up. Chris, I am going to chug this, and I want to hear your synopsis or your thoughts on this. But do you understand, Josh Allen, what you're asking of me as a Bills fan? Me as a longtime season ticket holding Bills fan. You're asking me to have some faith in the face of what was a statistical anomaly in every single sense of the word. Something that literally has never happened before in league history, where a team has scored 40 points on you. They've run the ball for 250 plus yards. They just got a 46-yard touchdown, and I'm not supposed to take that and go to the showers? I'm sorry. Teams were undefeated who have done that to this point. Even the comeback against the Oilers was more of a mathematical probability than what just happened on Sunday Night Football. So I'm so sorry if I rubbed some of you the wrong way that I decided it wasn't worth it and I packed up and went home. I would love to see a Venn diagram of the following. People who legitimately just had to go to work in the morning and had to get out of there. Chris, you're the guy. Camera on Chris over there doing two hands in the air.
I left. And you know what?
You left before I did.
Yes, I did. I left at the sideline play to Zay Flowers all the way down the sideline. I wasn't even out of the stadium yet when I had heard touchdown Ravens.
And I left.
Yeah. And you know what else I was doing? I was between your truck and the ambulance taking a piss. And then you startled me when you started the truck as I was urinating. And I'm like, I knew he would not be far behind me.
I started the truck from about a quarter mile away. Here's the thing. I want to see this Venn diagram. People who had to work in the morning, people who had season tickets or attended games regularly throughout the drought, and then the people who left early. I bet you there's a ton of overlap there that none of you are willing. Everyone who's being critical isn't willing to give credit. I bet you there's a ton of crossover there. And with that, Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you while I chug this stupid Seagram's.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up a game. There's a drought era game where Buffalo came back. You might have had season tickets.
Oh my God, the diabetes is flowing through my veins.
You might have left. Look at that on the screen. Look what I got on the screen. Do you remember this game?
I did.
2011?
I do remember it because
2011, Buffalo, Oakland, we won 38-35.
Yep.
That was a comeback. What were we down? 21-3.
Yep.
We came back and won. Did you leave?
Well, I was there for that game. No, because at that time I hadn't had seasons and I was just happy to be there. And that's where a lot of people who stayed are. Well, I don't have seasons and I'm just happy to be here. And this is maybe one of the few times I make it to the stadium. So I'm going to stick around no matter what. I'm sorry if Josh doesn't like hearing this. And other fans who like to Monday morning quarterback the whole situation by telling everyone what they would have done if I could have been there. I'll tell you what, you weren't. You weren't there. You also probably weren't there to watch them bungle their way through half a decade of football, where you regularly snatched victories out of the jaws of defeat And you just prevent defensed your way to nonsense endings, to football games that you could have won. You weren't there in the cold and the rain when the Bills fumbled away a game against the Vikings that could have given them the 1 seed in the AFC and instead had them losing to the Bengals in the divisional round.
I got a game in mind that you left early and I didn't.
Yep.
And I only
Browns game?
Nope. I only stayed because I believe it was Christmas Eve, and I was going to my cousin's who is in Orchard Park. So I'm
Dolphins,
Jay Ajayi, 10 men on the field, long run. Miami wins the game. I think we were near a playoff spot, but I think we might have needed to win and get help for it.
That was the day that me and Potter left early because I was like, this team's going to blow this. We've been here for a million of these.
Is this the game where you just left Potter at the mudlots?
No, this was the day that me and Potter, we had two choices. We could either beat up a guy, either beat his ass for just being a scumbag, or we could steal his taco dip that he was drunkenly raving about how he made the best taco dip in Western New York. We could either steal his taco dip and disappear into the ether, or we could fight this guy. Like, there was only two options. And I know that some of you listening to this will be like, that sounds like the dumbest situation of all time. It was. But with that said, I still have that Pyrex dish. And every time I go to cook with it, I laugh and I go, I hope nothing good ever happens to him ever again. I'm happy I stole this.
Local evening news in the comments with another one. Every fan has an OJ if I did it story. Nailed it. Nailed it.
Yes.
He is our fan base.
You guys, literally, like the people Monday morning quarterbacking, the people leaving the stadium, you weren't there for that Vikings day when they fumbled the ball on the goal line directly in front of your seats and you said, I've had enough. I can't take any more of this tomfoolery. You weren't there when the Bills just bumbled and just stumbled their way to another loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. It was the divisional round loss to the Chiefs where it was mistakes by the quarterback, the wide receiver, the kickers, the play callers. Chris, the Damar Hamlin fake punt, it's a real thing that happened. You weren't there for that game, okay? You probably weren't there. You were at home on your couch watching Monday Night Football when the Bills somehow lost to the Denver Broncos. Right? In one of the most inexplicable ways possible. Too many men on the field for a missed game-winning field goal. That can't happen. And yet it does to the Buffalo Bills. So none of you have walked in those shoes who want to criticize people like Chris and I who left the stadium. I will not apologize. I refuse. Okay? And so this is the thing. Well, athletes thriving in this environment, they have to. Right? Chris, the best athletes are the ones who can forget one play and move on to the next.
Yes.
They can have a bad game and move on to the next. Last year, to bring this whole thing around, when Josh Allen got dominated by the Baltimore Ravens in week 4, he shrugged while he was at the podium and he was like, well, we got that one out of the way. I'm happy that's over. On to the next one. And he proceeded to live his best life for the next 365 days. Well, less than that, but you know what I'm saying.
Super Mexican in the comments. Attacking tents, stealing taco dip platters. You are Hispanic.
Listen, I have no defense for that. What I'll say is this short memory it's essentially a requirement if you're a professional athlete to be able to go out there, win that game, and look at the crowd and go, hey, you need to have a little faith in me. Josh, it's not that we don't have faith in you. It's that I have a long memory. I'm scarred. I'm battered. I'm beaten down by what this franchise is and has been. And the worst part is a lot of those failures have been with Josh Allen at the helm of this team. So far be it from me if I didn't have the requisite faith to see what was the most mathematically improbable outcome come to fruition in real time. You're right. Damn me for being the bad guy who left early. You were right this time, Josh. We should have more faith. We should trust you. Well, faith that the inexplicable is possible as long as we have Josh Allen as our quarterback. Guys, I wanted to be snarky. I wanted to come on here and finish the show being a shithead about it, but the more I talk about it, you know who can't say that is Lamar Jackson fans. Lamar Jackson fans have to know that their quarterback took himself off the field in the most pivotal moment of the game. And then later, himself tried to Monday morning quarterback it going, oh, I had a cramp. And so, we would have gone forward on fourth down, but, I was cramping up a little bit. Josh Allen went out there against Tampa Bay a few years ago. He broke his toe in the first half, and he put on a comeback for the ages against Tom Brady. The year that they won the Super Bowl, he took them to the wire because he's full of piss and vinegar and a I will not die mentality. He's willing to die out there for a victory. And I guess he's looking at us to co-sign that. And if he is, God bless him. I'll be there for it. You're right, Josh. You taught me something. Because Lamar Jackson fans can't say it. Chris, who else is a star quarterback in the NFL right now? Patrick Mahomes, after watching this last Chiefs game, Patrick Mahomes, tell me he's that guy right now.
I mean,
tell me that team gives him the avenue to be that guy.
I mean, he's got rings.
He's got rings, but what does he have right now, this year in the 2025 season?
Josh Allen is the MVP frontrunner right now, and he's going to have that until at least week 5.
For as much as I bitch about how leaving early was the right call because of the math and because of the history and everything else, maybe Josh is right. Maybe it really is all different this time. I don't know. Maybe having a little bit of faith right now is warranted because this team is so talented that they really can make the ending of this season different than any of the others where it's fallen apart. It's crazy, but it's not that crazy. It's not that crazy, and it's scary to think about. And I go back to his commentary about hearing the bus. Hearing the buses rolling over ice as they celebrate a Lombardi trophy down Delaware Avenue on the way to the courthouse.
You talked about buses. I thought you were talking about Adolphus Washington for a second.
Guys, this season is going to be full of ups and downs.
You did text me that we're not leaving early again this year.
I literally texted Chris angrily, mind you, on what went on to be my 9th beer after getting home. And I was like, hey, Chris, we're never leaving early again. I'll die here on the But you know what? You're right. I should have had more faith. I should have let Chris go stand out there by a locked truck like an idiot.
Yeah, it would have felt like Potter.
Dude, you gotta call him out.
Yeah,
he's going to fight you.
Well, when Potter knows that he's left games early and then just gotten lost in the mudlot at other tailgates, and then when the game ends, we're in the truck ready to go, and he's somewhere across the lot watching the game.
Matthew Montgomery, I wish I had left the bar and didn't know the Bills won because I was vibing until 4 a.m. and couldn't sleep. You and me both. You and me both. I was vibing, couldn't sleep. We threw a party. It was just an endless party in the Gear House. And eventually the sun has to rise, which is why I took the day off work. I knew it was going to happen one way or the other. Guys, we are in unprecedented territory. Our team might be one of the most flawed. It has warts. Everybody's worried about the defensive side of the football. And yet, you look at what 17 does, and almost none of it matters. Almost none of it matters. There are very few people in the NFL who can call themselves the kryptonite to Josh Allen. Josh Allen is down there. He's Wyatt Earp. Not to make another Western reference, but it's like the movie Tombstone. Everyone goes, oh, it's the fourth quarter. There's a minute left. What's Josh Allen doing? And you look at him and you go, oh, he's down there by the river, walking on water. He's just out there. Like Wyatt Earp crossing the river. Just, it's inexplicable. It's unexplainable. And yet we'll take it every time. I'm blessed to get to be a fan of this football team. I'm blessed to get to share it with you guys who show up for the tailgate and who come out to support the team in real time. And for those of you at home who show up here for the show and we're sitting here, what's this? Jared nobody leaves early because of meth. Wait, what? This guy has a lot of weird takes. He says 2 and 6, like I'm supposed to know what that means.
Got a couple good comments. Let me throw out a programming note. Next week, we play Thursday night home game against the Dolphins. We're going to be live on YouTube on Monday. Monday live show, 8 o'clock, to recap the Jet game. Just so you know.
Hopefully there's not much to talk about. Hopefully it's very easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We get this out of the way. We get back to what the Buffalo Bills do, which is dominate the AFC East. For those of you in the comments who I didn't get to, God, I'm so happy you guys show up each and every week and have a good time. That's all I'm looking for. Jimmy Key made it and actually thought I dreamt this win. As soon as I woke up, went straight to YouTube. Holy balls, what a game. Hey, Jimmy, I saw your daughter Kaylin tweet about how you guys need to make a pilgrimage back at the end of the year. Talk to me. Get at me. Let's pick a game.
Yeah, Jimmy Key, if you need a game.
Jimmy Key, reach out to us on Twitter. DM me. We'll figure this out. Guys, this has been a blast. The Buffalo Bills are 1-0. We're top of the AFC East. We stand uncontested. And we're atop of the AFC. We're atop of the NFL. We're the prohibitive favorites to win the Super Bowl after week 1. And we just sent a message to every single team in the NFL who thinks that they have a shot at it, going, hey, see this shit our quarterback can do? Watch it. Better watch yourself. Better watch your mouth when you talk about the Buffalo Bills. It's a long season, but what a step forward out of the box. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you to everybody who showed up live and contributed, but we got to get the hell out of here. I'm Drew Gear. That's Chris Kruger. This has been your Rockpile Report.